Right, welcome back to the Ask Golf Guru channel. This is my second channel. I'm Mark Crossfield still, but this is my other channel where I'm just answering your questions and giving you a chance to have your say. And today we're going to be talking about golf's worst rule. So this is the question I posed. What is golf's worst rule? As always, you've been very active and vocal in your answers. Let's share with you what they are. What do you reckon they are in the comments down below? Let me know what you think the worst rules of golf are. I think you can guess where lots of people are going to go with this. I'm pretty sure divots is going to come out as a popular worst rule, if you can have a popular worst thing. Right, what is golf's worst rule? And I know lots of us do feel golf does feel like it kind of beats us up, so it's easy to have a bit of hate on the rules. Me personally, I think the rules as a whole are fine. There are some funny ones, which definitely have been pointed out here, which we'll talk about, but I still think there's lots of great things. And I still love the fact that we're great, or generally great, at calling our own penalties, that kind of stuff as well. I think is one of the best parts of our game. Such a great, when I watch other sports and watch people get on opposing teams actively try to cheat each other out of decisions when they know if it's touched them last and that kind of thing. I always that baffles me. But anyway, what are golf's worst rules? Let's see what you guys and girls are saying. Okay, apparently the best kept secret is model local rule E5. I urge people to read it. Okay, that's a good start because I don't know what that one is, but anyone in the comments knows what that one is. Let us know what that is. Divots in the fairway. There we go. Rob, straight in there. I knew this is going to be the most. Divots in the fairway should be able to move the ball either side of one of its closer to the green. So I don't understand why that can't change. Divots in the fairway. I feel like that's going to be the overriding one. I've done a podcast on this with Lou Stagner, and that was with Scott Fawcett back in the day as well, in season 1 of the Hack It Out Golf podcast. If you don't listen to that, maybe check it out. And Lou was very adamant he wanted that rule to change. Putting out, once you're on the green, it should be given that you make the first putt. This will cost me a ton of strokes every round. Putt this. Amen to that. Yeah, once you've hit the green, you should just do proximity averages, shouldn't you? That's what I do on Foresight. You can do that. You turn auto putt on. And then what happens is as soon as you hit the green, it gives you the automated amount from the average, I think, from that distance. I like that too. I think that's a good idea. Play out of a divot from the fairway, Brendan. So he thinks that one is the worst rule. Got to be divot in the fairway. It doesn't make for interesting viewing on It does make, sorry, for interesting viewing on TV though. Ebo 01 playing from divots, so we're definitely going to get lots of divots. What are your thoughts on the divot one? Let me know maybe in the comments down below. Incorrectly hitting off the wrong tee box, when sometimes the men's yellow markers are in front of ladies' reds. Realizing your mistake straight away, then a 2-shot penalty hitting from the correct tee. Barbara Hurley. Yeah, I hear you. I mean, if we were playing socially, obviously I wouldn't impose those rules, and also I wouldn't impose those rules if I was kind of running a fun competition. But I just think it's open for cheating, isn't it, is the problem in a proper competition, because people might be like, oh, you know, accidentally played off that tee. Let's hope no one notices, almost, possibly. Out of bounds. Yeah, no rangefinders on tour, Ian. Yeah, I agree with that. That one just blows my head off. Sorry, Ian here. No rangefinders on tour, and out of bounds was the one up here. Look, yeah. Why no rangefinders on tour? I don't know. Obviously, they can use them now in practice, I think, can't they? But they can't use them in competition. Like, what are they trying to achieve with that? It's just such a... Golf is so weird sometimes, the way the history kind of holds it back. Richard says, play as it lies. I think he says that's the worst one. Again, that's maybe hinting towards divots. Playing from a divot in the fairway. So, question for everyone with divots then. Why is a divot in the fairway so much more unfair than divot in the rough? People, I agree, maybe you should be punished more if you're in the rough, and you should be rewarded if you're on the fairway. But I would rather be in a divot than a massive downhill lie on the fairway. So can I not move it onto a flat lie? Like, that's where I get a little bit, there's other reasons as well. That's one of the reasons I get a little bit mixed up with divot on the fairway, because I can get a good lie in the rough, like a really good lie. Should I not be punished in the rough so I should have to move it into a bad lie. Me personally, I don't understand why the fairway has to be perfect. It's better than the rough, and the stats show that it's better than the rough. If you look at data from ShotScope on millions of shots, people definitely perform better from the cut grass than they do the long grass as an average, so it kind of is working. Yeah, I get it's a little messy, and then we go into defining what a divot is as well. That can be super messy. Out of bounds, stroke and distance make a lateral water hazard move on already. Luna, I agree with that. I've said this once when we filmed with Buzzer when he came back one year from America, and I lost my ball down the right, and it just felt like ridiculous having to go back when we saw it went in this group of trees. Like if it was a water hazard, you just dropped out. So I agree with that, and I know socially now, I think you can do that, can't you, in social play, that it's like an advisory, isn't it? But again, post comments down below if I'm getting that wrong. I don't keep up that much with the rules because luckily I don't need to. Need to go back to the tee, lost ball in unsighted landing zones as a prime cause. You can't just hit a provisional forever. Don't get divots things. Think I hit one total this year and it's not a big thing. Hit more rabbit scrapings. Jonathan Aking. Interesting one with that though, and I think Lou makes a good point with this. Lou Stagner, who was on my podcast, or our podcast, not my podcast, our podcast. Just because something doesn't happen very often, that doesn't mean there shouldn't be a rule about it. So there's rules about animals picking up and like flying off, birds flying off with your ball. It doesn't happen very often. I don't think it's happened to me once, maybe, if that. But there's still a rule. So just because it doesn't happen very often, it's the knee-jerk reaction, and I agree with that. I think, well, it doesn't happen very often. Really, why is everyone moaning? But again, I agree with Lou on the point that actually doesn't quantify it to have a rule. You need to have rules for every outcome. I do think that the idea of divots relief, there is issues. Free putts, yeah, silly. You shouldn't be allowed to free putt. Should be just 2 putts, shouldn't it? No relief for fairway divots. I'd like to introduce a new winter rule. If you hit into leaves, this is a good one, and you know exactly where it is but cannot find it, and within a ton of leaves on the fairway, free drop. Warren Head, I get what he's saying. Leaves in the UK, when we get in the water, and I'm sure in other parts of the world, the leaves drop, cover areas, you know your ball's there, but without turning up every leaf, which you're not going to be able to do in the 3 minutes that you've got to search for that ball, it can be infuriating. Obviously, socially, we would always just put one down. It's here. We just can't find it. Pop one down. But in a comp, it's just kind of tough luck, isn't it? 14 club. It would be decidedly better game with only 8. Would it? And then Golf Studio puts, then use 8. Because you can use 8, couldn't you, if you think it's better that way? Obviously you understand. I think Johnny understands that it would work as a disadvantage. He just seems to want to make golf harder, I guess. That you don't get forced to leave if you're 2 holes behind on a Saturday morning. Put that in the rule book would be funny, wouldn't it? Only on Saturday mornings though. This is the out of bounds rule as well. Stroke in distance or turning OB into a hazard. It lames the game of golf. It's a challenge to hit it straight, especially playing provisional second and third ball. So the worst rules is he's saying the other way around. Irwin here is saying it's been added to or renewed to make the game quicker or easier, stroke in distance. So he doesn't like that you get the drop. Not golf per se, but some clubs having no junior sections. Perry, yep, agree, Perry. Some golf clubs have internal rules that are just absolutely shocking, and I know they're private members clubs and they can do what they like, but yeah, there's some funny rules in some private members clubs, isn't there, that they get away with some crazy stuff. Have to play out of a divot fairway, have to play from divots. Knee-high drop, I almost certainly get the bad, knee-high drop. I reckon the knee-high drop has to be the most ridiculous rule change I've seen in my lifetime. It's just mental, the knee-high drop. I don't see it. It just seems such a crazy waste of publishing new rule books and everything. Just really, has it achieved anything? Really? I know people will go, oh, but don't roll as far. Really, if the ones that roll a bit further into a bad lie or out of the marking zones, you have to re-drop it. Come on, is it that many? Really? Is it? that if the putt does not go in the hole first time, it doesn't count. Yeah, amen. And going to be divot ruling, hasn't it? It's got to be divot ruling. So there you go. That's the worst. It's divot rule. So many. It's like it's the out of bounds and then having to keep score. Don't have to. All of them. Having to buy everyone a drink in the bar after getting a hole in one. Chris, I agree. People should be buying you drinks. Why are you buying them drinks? I agree with that. When I hole in ones, I leg it. I'm sorry. I'm out there. I'm not buying. You've played rubbish. I'm buying you a drink because you've played rubbish and haven't had a hole in one. What? I'm the one who should be getting rewarded. I've had a hole in one and I'm having... Chris, yeah, I'm going to like that one. Hero of mine, Chris P. Absolutely agree. That is a ridiculous rule. Divots in the fairways. Go on, in the comments, let me know what you think. I know it's frustrating when you get in them. The issues I see with divots in the fairways, defining a divot is going to be near on impossible and open to so much dodgy dropping. Because when they're growing over and they're not, do you have to take a relief from a divot as well? Was it an interesting one? And then why do I have to play from a divot in the rough? Because they're not meant to be in the rough either. And then also, if I get a good lie in the rough, should I not then move it into a bad lie? Because I'm meant to have a good lie on the fairway because they're meant to be perfect. And then I'm meant to have bad lies or worse lie in the rough where that can flip, which seems to be okay. But then you can get in a divot and it can't. At the end of the day, though, if the rule changed that you did get relief from a divot, I actually wouldn't care either, to be fair. Just dooby-doo. Either or, but for me, I'm happy with the way it is on fairways. I actually quite like the advantage I get over lesser skilled golfers if you get in a divot on the fairway, because I feel like I can handle it better than the lesser skilled golfer. So it kind of shows more skill a little bit. But I'm happy if you want to ban divots on fairways so we don't, we can drop out of them. I'm happy. Worst rule in golf. What's your worst rule in golf? Mine is that one. Having to buy everyone a drink. Chris P. Hero of golf. Totally. That is the worst rule ever.